Namato Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zim, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening, everyone. So today is Sunday, the 23rd of August, 2020, and this is Ajahn Sujan from Warapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen. So it's another Sunday. It's coming back to the Sunday again, and I hope you're all having a wonderful time at home and enjoying. I would not say that this is a beautiful day, but I hope you're enjoying. I was told that weather in the city much better than here in the center. But I experienced that 2 weeks ago when I was in the city. I feel so hot. I couldn't breathe, and I was just taking off all the clothes just to feel comfortable. But by the time when I come back to the center, and it was cold. Okay, so today is a Sunday, and hi everyone. Hi Anish, Gautam, Karina, Manish, and everyone. Right, so today I am going to continue from our previous talks. Yesterday was a special interview with Vinny and give you a householder's perspective on the Buddha's teachings and how they apply Buddhism in their lives. So today again continue from what I left on a Friday or a previous nights, the talks based on the first discourse of the Buddha, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And I was talking on the third factors of Eightfold Noble Path, and I thought that I will end there, and if you would like to hear a little bit more, you can listen on YouTube on the third factor of our Eightfold Noble Path, the right speech, or there are a few talks on the Musawada, on the 5 precepts. Probably 2 months ago I spoke on that as well. So you can listen in order to understand what is a right speech, and what shouldn't be speaking and what should be avoided. So that's why I thought that today I will move on to the second factors of the Sila, but the fourth in the Eightfold Noble Path, and that is the right action. Again, before we go into the right action, just to give you a brief knowledge or overview that the right action is a part of the Sila, which is the foundation ground or the fundamental practice that one should practice in order to keep oneself in a safe place, and also Sila as a tool or preparing a ground for the cultivation of anything. Okay? So as a result, the Sila being the foundation ground for the practice of a meditation, and meditation as being a part or the foundation for the wisdom to grow. And in right action, again, it's a correlate to the 5 precepts. Sometimes people may think that what's the difference between the 5 precepts and this right speech and the right action. Only difference is that in the 5 precepts, right speech taken very lightly and sufficient enough to live together, whereas in the Eightfold Noble Path, it is more of a development of inner understanding and understanding of the consequences when we speak lies, or when we speak gossips, or when we speak slanders and idle chattings. Similar to the right action. Right action also part of it. Here in the right action, again, it's divided into 3 components, and which is similar to the 5 precepts. So that's the 3 first precepts in the 5 precepts are included in this right action. Now, in your daily life, if you look at closely at your own self, we normally do 3 things one at a time, but that action can be in 3 ways. Now you can think of it, what is that? We normally do any action that we take, or any action that we perform, we do in 3 ways, and doing only one thing, but that one thing can be in 3 different purposes. And that is, doesn't matter what you do in your life, you will be doing only 3 ways, not more than that. You cannot do anything more than that at all. And this is what Buddha meant. And this one is you will do by speaking. And then the second you will do by your physical body. And then the third you will do by thinking. So there is only 3 these ways that you will do or perform any actions, no more than that at all. You may argue if there is any more than that. There isn't. And then each ways that we perform any actions, and that each time when we perform there will be only one action performed. When we are speaking, we are just performing one action. When we are doing, again, we are doing one action. And when we are thinking, again, we are doing one action. But each of these actions can be classified into 3 ways. Sometimes we may be thinking good, other time we may be thinking bad, another time just ignorant, just thinking, carried away along the waves, along the river. So we just floated away along the thoughts, not knowing what is it, and different thoughts. In different ways we're doing. Like sometimes we just walk, sometimes we just talk, mumbling, like that. So that's why the purpose of doing, whether we are speaking or whether we are acting or whether we are thinking, we are doing one thing at a time, and that one thing can be divided or classified into 3 ways. So it's called wholesome action, unwholesome action, or indifferent. Indifferent. So which we do not know what we are doing, basically, that is. And now this wholesome action, again, we perform it on the basis of whether we, on the basis of our desire to take it or grasp it or holding on to it, or a desire to let it go, or resentment. And same with unwholesome actions or bad actions that we perform. And most of the time, the bad action that we perform, again, on the basis of resentment. It's called a patiga sanya, or the resentment or resistance or a negative. So we want to push it away. That's driven by so-called the mind with the hate. And now these 2, the first, the wholesome action driven by greed, driven by greed, and the second is mostly driven by hatred. in your life, in daily routine, you can think of your actions. Whether you are saying some words or something to somebody or to anyone, are you performing that with greedy mind, or with a positive mind, or with a negative mind? And when you are saying it, or when you are doing it, when you are thinking about it, are you performing it with a kindness, or resentment, or hate, or compassion? And these all little dots counts in our day-to-day life. It shapes our behavior. It shapes our conduct. It shapes the way we speak. It shapes the way we perceive the world. It's all entirely up to us how you want the day to be. Doesn't matter there is a heavy rain. Doesn't matter it's a sunshine. It's all in the mind, how we perceive. Sometimes a beautiful day, but if your mind is corrupted, if your mind is full of this hate and negativities, the whole day, despite of the wonderful with the sunshine, warm enough, and still the rose is not blossom yet. Everything is trouble, everything is wrong, everything is not fine. You see the complaints, you see the wrong things, and you see whatever doing, you see only wrong things. You will complain, you dispute, you disagree. But in the same time, if you have a positive thoughts, wholesome thoughts, doesn't matter how heavy rain is, you will enjoy that rain. You will enjoy that rain, and wow, wonderful, and you will link that how much this rain is important for our human life, to nurture, to make this whole nature survive. Oftentimes when there is a rain, I used to go for a walking, even the walking meditation, and I enjoy. I've told this story a few months ago during one of the talks as well, that one day, a few years ago, when I was walking up into the Kengrom mountain alone, and I have been walking that route for so many times but never experienced the rain. And on that day, on that year, I was expecting some rains. And the very moment when this stormy rain fall down, and I was over the moon. I was enjoying that rain, and I was feeling that yes, this is finally, I got it. I experienced it. Yeah? And that moment, somehow my instinct told me that I call it dance with the rain. Yeah? Dance with the rain. I felt so much joy. I felt so much happy. I felt so much entertaining. Enjoy that rain. So that's why it's all in our mind. And every action that we perform, that's why it's projected from our mind. And this projection supports whether we speak or whether we physically do something. And that is the way out. Right? And that's why whatever we do, whatever we say, whatever we think, we need to be very, very mindful of what we are thinking. Thinking is the key. Mind is playing the major role in how we speak and how we behave. If our mind is clouded, if our mind is under the impression of, let's say, drugs and alcohols, we will not be able to perform properly. we would not be able to function properly. That's why there are so many people are in trouble. And especially they can speak when they are drunk. And when they are drunk, the way they are speaking, they would not speaking correctly. That normally invites for the quarrel and disputes. Yesterday I was listening interview with the most venerable Kyamadammo, English monk. He had been a monk for over 40, almost 50 years now, and then he is a director or is the one who established the prison chaplain. And he was talking that among these 5 precepts, majority of prisoners, they suffered and they are in the prison simply because of the violation of the 5th precepts under the impression of alcohol. So that's why we should introduce strongly and we should emphasize strongly that these alcohols are the main root cause of social problem. And that's the root cause of a problem, those who are living in the prisons too. And so when you are drunk, you cannot make a right decision. When you are speaking under the impression of the alcohol again, rather than compromising or rather than speaking with a kindness and compassion or a sensible, you'll be talking nonsense. And not only the nonsense, that also cause for the fightings and even the killing. So yesterday Lompo was saying that there are the significant number of prisoners simply because of under the impression of the alcohol that brought them into the prison, because of the fight, because of the drink has caused them to perform other actions. Yeah? So that's why in the 5 precepts, precept number 5 is called Sura Meraya Macchapamadhatthana, which means not taking substance that clouds our mind, is the pure Buddha's teachings. Because Buddha's teaching is awaken you. Buddha's teachings is alert you. Whereas if you are taking substance that clouds your mind, then you are not following the Buddha's advice. You're simply going against the alertness, against the awakeness, yeah, and against being a mindful. Because when you are under the impression of the substance, you are not mindful. Whereas the teachings of the Buddha is be mindful. So the 5th precepts is basically whether you are going into the practice of Buddhist teachings or whether you are against with the teachings of the Buddha. So this is the fine line here. It doesn't matter, people may say that there are so many Buddhists drinking and there are so many Buddhists still indulge or still engage in this selling and taking the drugs and alcohols and cigarettes, and that clouds their mind. That's why Buddha said, it is a training, it is not a rule. Buddha gave this authority to you. You have to decide. You have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. And once you have made a decision and you are going to work with it, the consequences is unto you, not to anyone else. So that's why the 5th precept is training not to take, or training to abstain, taking things that clouds your mind. It is not a rule or like a commandment in Christianity or any other faiths. Buddha simply gave that this is a rule, and if you want to be mindful and if you want to be clear-headed and able to speak properly, able to behave properly, then practice it. If you're not, It's up to you. The consequences is come to you. With that, you're speaking rubbish. You're speaking nonsense. You're speaking fighting. You're speaking building a conflict and disharmony in the family, in the community. Then the way you speak or the way you behave also comes to the violation. And that action, who will receive the result of it? You. You take the responsibility, no one else. So, this is what we need to be very mindful of. And this is what all the Buddha's teachings are. This is nothing more than that. Right? And so, in the right action, that's why it's very easy to understand, but very hard to do, very hard to commit. Very hard to practice it. Because whenever we are practicing, first we need to be mindful. Mindful of our thinking, mindful of our behavior, conduct, attitude. And only then we can perform rightly, correctly, sensibly for the good and happiness of ourselves and the others. When we are mindful, when we are aware, that moment, what happens? We speak kindly. We speak to build harmony, to support, to encourage, to do good things. We avoid conflict. We avoid anything that may upset others. We would not be committing any cruelty. We will not be committing anything that creates fear on anyone. We rather encouraging people to do good things. We provide the security for them. We will be encouraging them with a safeguarding that would go and do it, if that's a good one. And also promoting peace, because we are not violating. We are not violating to one another. We simply, giving the comfort with the peace, kindness. There is no cruelty. There is no a greedy or a hatred at all. There is all wise. And these actions is basically brings harmony. And that's more beneficial for ourselves and then to others. And that's how the whole society, whole community becomes so harmony that you want to be part of it. You want to be there to support, to work. But when the community is there where everyone is mindlessly working, mindlessly drinking, and then mindlessly behaving, mindlessly speaking, doesn't know what they are speaking, doesn't know what they are doing, who would like to stay? Who would like to communicate? Who would like you to be associated with you? No one. And if everyone is behaving that way, the community won't be happy. Community won't be in a peaceful state. It causes more trouble. It causes more fears in one another. Who would like to be in a place where it's rough? There are so many drugs going on, or people are so rough, talking very harsh speeches and fighting it all the time. No one wants to be there. Everyone wants to be in a safe place. And this all based on the way we think. So that's why I early on, at the beginning, I said that we perform in 3 ways, 1 action. 3 ways, 1 action, and in the 3 purposes. One of the 3 purposes. And it's all based on how we think. It's based on our right attitude that we have to things, right attitude to have, right attitude towards the environment, to the situation. Nothing is wrong, nothing is bad. Everything is good as long as you think properly. And thinking properly starts from our brain. It's from mind. And in order to have this thinking properly, we have to have a clear mind. We have to have mindfulness, awareness. So, and in order to have this mindfulness or awareness or clear mind, we shouldn't come under the influence of any substances, whether it is a substance or whether it is a deluded mind. All what we need is the clear mind, and that leads to any action that we perform become a wholesome action, and that wholesome action always encourage us to do good thing for own self and then to others. And with that, one another, supporting one another to grow in the spiritual path for the liberation. That's why this is, again, is the motto of our center, helping hands, healing heart. And this is also the Buddha's advice when, after there were 60 disciples, Buddha told them all to go and preach the Dhamma for the good and happiness of the many, both so-called celestial beings and the humans. Yeah? So that's why let's start off having a mindfulness or awareness or alertness and awakeness within ourselves, knowing what we are doing, understanding what we are doing. When we say, when we think, when we are doing, be mindful and act mindfully. So I offer this as a tonight's reflection for the right action. So I will be focusing on that for a couple of nights. In the meantime, if you want to know on these, so there is a 5, there are talks on the 5 precepts that I have spoken about 2 months ago, and which is available on the YouTube as well as on the Facebook. On the Facebook it will be a little difficult to find, but it's easy to find on a YouTube, and which I have also separated for the playlists. You can go and listen, and then if not, you can continue listening every night. I will be elaborating on that to understand a little bit more on that. Okay, so thank you everyone for listening, and in a few moments time we will have a chanting and a guided meditation. You're most welcome to join with us. Until then, good night and take care. See you shortly. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. Thank you.